What is BI? BI stands for Business Intelligence, and what is it? It is all about data, getting information from that data, and having knowledge derived out of it. It's all data, information and knowledge. That's what is your BI world. We'll soon see certain tools that we use in Microsoft framework, but to understand BI, what is it? Data, information, knowledge. Why do we need BI? And why so much hype is there around BI? Let's understand that. Companies do store their data in OLTP system. We call it as online transaction processing system. What is it? So whenever I make any sale, I go and save that data. Whenever I have a new customer, I save that data. Whenever I have a new employee, I save that data. Whenever I have got new retailer, I will save that data. So anything and everything I do in my company, I will go on recording that data in some system, some application, and that is typically your OLTP system. If I have branches of my company in different countries or different regions, I may have different systems storing that data in their corresponding databases. For example, my branch in India might be using one software for recording their sales, and my branch in Europe might be using another system to save their sales data. Right? But fine, this is all data, this is all OLTP data. What as an entrepreneur or as a businessman I am interested to have? I wanted to have a lot of information coming out of this data. For example, which products are getting sold more? Which products are getting sold along with some other product, and so on. So I'll find out this information, I will create some knowledge, and that's how I will use this data to identify where I need to focus, which two products are going well, then I will sell those two products together. I'll give you a classic example. In United States of America, there was one BI implementation, and what they came to know is with baby diapers, what they can sell more is beer bottles. Now, how was that? What they realized, they did a lot of data collection, then they did a lot of analysis, and what they realized is in the night when baby cries, mom sends dad to the shop and says, okay, go get baby diapers. Dad goes to the shop and he picks up the baby diapers, and on the way back he also picks up the beer bottles. And that's very good opportunity to make sales. So after realizing that whenever diapers are sold, beer sales is also there, they started keeping baby diapers and beer bottles next to each other. Then even for the customer it was easier to notice beer bottle, and then there was more sale for the company. Now how this happened? This happened because BI was in place. They analyze how the sale is happening, which items are getting sold at what point of time, and then they created knowledge out of it, and then they positioned their items accordingly, and that was great increase in sales of that particular retail store. And that's so people wanted to use this BI tools. This is just one example. There can be many other examples, like during particular time within the year, the sales of X material goes high, and along with X, Y material is sold lesser. Yeah, but why? And how will you know it? Unless you don't do slicing, dicing of information, you won't know it. So from all these perspectives, the BI tools play a very good role. Alright, so that's what is BI essentially. We wanted to know what are the products from Microsoft which helps us to do BI. Okay, and the products are SSIS, SSAS and SSRS. We'll talk in detail about these products. Whenever you want to collect the data, we use SSIS, SQL Server, for integration. Okay, I'll give you an example that you have one company or one branch in Europe. They are having data in particular system, and branch in India, they are storing the data in another system. Now you wanted to club that data together and then do your analysis on that. So when you want to integrate the data from two different systems, you are going to use SSIS. Analyze data, you will use SQL Server Analysis Services, SSAS. I will see again details of that. And the last one is viewing the data. So you do whatever analysis, and next thing you want to do is you want to show very good reports to the user. Now you will use SSRS. Again, we'll see some demo of SSRS. At the bottom of the screen, you can see the flow of information, how it happens, or flow of data. You have got OLTP system. OLTP data is picked up by ETL process, and that data is put into data warehouse. Then the cubes are created, and OLTP cubes are stored in OLAP database reports. Let me just show you. Yeah, you've got OLTP, ETL, data warehouse, and so on. We already learned what is OLTP. ETL is your way to collect the data. This we do using SSIS. ETL stands for extract, transform, and load. What is extract? Extract is typically reading the data from this OLTP system. Transform stands for converting it in the way you want. For example, your Europe branch might be storing the data in lowercase, and India might be storing in uppercase. Now, when you want to pull that data and store it in central system, ideally all the data should be in same case, either lowercase or uppercase. So that conversion of data from lowercase to uppercase or uppercase to lowercase can be done as part of transformation. Again, this is just one example of transformation. There can be multiple other transformations which we will see during the course, but this is the simplest example. Alright, and the last part in ETL is L, stands for load. You load that transformed data into data warehouse. Data warehouse is going to maintain all your history data. Okay, its format, whether it is star schema or snowflake or what else, we'll see eventually. But data warehouse is going to have all your history data coming from different OLTP system. To continue with our example, data from Europe branch and data from my India branch, both the data will be stored together in my data warehouse. Okay, so it's a central repository of all your data. That's what is data warehouse. Next, it comes to cube processing, and those OLAP cubes are stored in OLAP database or OLAP cache. Now, what is cube? We have got a detailed discussion on cube. But cube is at high level. If you have to understand, you have to say that cube is pre-computed data. Okay, and that pre-computation is done on data warehouse, and your reports are typically made based on those OLAP cubes. Of course, reports can be made on this OLTP data also. In fact, they are made on OLTP, the day-to-day reports. The reports can be made on data warehouse when you want to see history data in detail. But if you want to have computed data, for example, show me sum of sales for last year, then that will come from the cube. So cube will store data like sum of sales for last year, sum of product one sales for last year, or customer wise product wise sales, customer wise product wise sales for specific year. All this computed data will be stored inside the cube, and then you can make reports out of that. Right, so that's what is essentially MSBI is going to help you with. SSIS, this is the first tool that we are going to see in demo today. Okay, what is SSIS? SSIS is ETL tool, and ETL stands for extract, transform, and load. ETL, Each of these stands for EG, extract, transform, and load. Now understand this. We briefly touched this part on earlier slide. Extract. Extract is what? Basically reading the data. Okay. This tool helps you to read the data from different data sources. For example, to continue with our last slide example, let's say your India branch is storing the data in Oracle and you want to read that data and get it into your data warehouse. You can do it using SSIS. At the same time, your Europe branch is storing the data in SQL Server. You can still read that and get it into data warehouse. Your Bangladesh branch, they are storing the data in Excel. You can still read it and get it into your data warehouse. So that reading part, or reading from Excel, Oracle, or SQL, is called as primarily extract. Transform, we give example of converting into lowercase to uppercase. That is a classical example of transformation. What can be other scenarios where you need to transform the data? Whenever you're going to store the data in central system, you wanted to have consistency in data. For example, let's say you have got customers, and in Europe, a particular customer is referred by the name Cust A. In India, same customer is referred as Customer A. Now, actually, this is a single customer, but the way you are referring in your system is different. Europe is saying Cust A, India is saying Customer A. If you put these two different data values in your data warehouse, it's going to be a problem. Then data warehouse might think that these are actually two different records. What needs to happen? Cust A needs to be changed to Customer A, or Customer A needs to be changed to Cust A. So that transformation needs to happen. And how will you do it? You will do it using transform feature of SSIS. Or setting some default values whenever you get null value, or correcting the data. All those things are part of transform. So once this transformation is done, the next obvious step is to load the data. You are going to load that data into data warehouse. Even that, so that is supported by SSIS. So it reads the data, it transforms it, and it saves the data. Okay, that's what is done by SSIS. All right, so let's see the demo. What do we have now? Give me a second, please. Let's understand what we are going to do during SSIS. We have got we are going to consider basically sales order system. Our company does a lot of sales, and we wanted to club that data. What kind of data we have? We have got different customers, and this is table structure we are going to have. We have got customer ID 1, 2, 3, 4, corresponding company name ABC, PKR, element, XYZ, and this is the company name, guys. Okay, so that's why it is ABC, PKR. Then you have got F name, L name, that is first name, last name. I have purposely chosen fields like F name, L name. Eventually we will do SSIS operations by which we will change even the column names from F name to first name and L name to last name, because that's how the end users will like to see it when they will play with the cubes. Okay, so we'll see that, and that's the reason I have kept bit cryptic name, F name, L name. So those companies have got POCs, point of contacts. For example, ABC company has got Amit Joshi, PQR has got Rahul Singh, LMN is Raju Shetty, and XYZ is Harshit Khurana. Okay, so this is going to be one table. Now assume that you get this data either in Excel or in flat file, and you want to import it into your data warehouse. Can you do that? Yes, you can do that. How? We will see it soon. But before we go to that, let's have a quick look at other tables that we have. You have got product category table. You have got two categories of products. One is bakery items and other is dairy items. Let's see actual products, then you will be clear what is there in bakery items and what is in dairy items. So milk, butter and ghee are ideally product category 1, right? And bread, butter, bread, biscuit and toast are actually product category 2, that is dairy. Oh, bakery. I have made it actually other way. So let me quickly change the data, dairy and bakery. So this is what we have. These 3 products belongs to dairy and these 3 products belongs to bakery. And then some random numbers I have generated at what rate we are going to sell each of that product. The field name is rate. Just wanted to highlight a few more things, like here I have given the field name as prod category ID. Whereas if you go to prod cat table, it is prod cat ID. Now this is a primary key here, which is actually a foreign key in product table. Ideally we should have the same field name, but in our system we don't have it. Later we will see in SSIS how to change the field name also, how to transform those. We won't see it in today's demo, but we'll see it in successive sessions. This is product table from my OLTP. Now from OLTP I got order table. This particular order was placed with me on 1st July. Order D2 was also placed on 1st July. And third column is storing which customer has placed the order. Okay. So this is a small order table. And then you have got order detail table. Order detail. Each order may have 1 or more items sold within it. For example, you can see already 1, in that we are selling 3 different products. Can you see here? Right? Now all 3 items are sold in the single order. For each product I am generating 1 serial line ID. Ideally, when you go to OLTP system, your primary key will be made up of order ID and line ID. Okay. Now for that particular order ID, for that line ID, for that product, how much is the quantity sold and at what rate we did the sales? That's what is stored here. Okay. Similarly, you got order number 2, 2 items are sold, order number 3, 3 items are sold, and so on. The quantity and rate have generated it randomly. Alright. What we are going to do is we are going to import these values into our using SSIS. We are going to import it into our database. Okay. I'm not going to import it for the I'm not going to import it from Excel. I'm going to import it from these flat files. Let's say my branches in Bangladesh or Europe or India, they say I'm a central processing unit for my data warehouse. They're sending me the data in flat file. Okay. The flat file is storing the details like this: customer ID 1, company name, F name, bill name. You will see that the header and data is not aligned, but the reason is that the flat file is generally tab separated, and that's what it is done here. So this is one tab is placed after the data is over. Okay. Primarily you have got 4 columns and data for those. That's what we are going to import. So we have got customer, and the same data perhaps. Product, same number of columns, 4 columns are there, all are tab separated. Let's take product data because we changed it actually. Product and product category we changed. So I'm going to quickly change the product category as well. Alrighty. So let's start with it. How do you start with SSIS? It's pretty simple. Go to Start menu, and you've got something called a SQL result. Otherwise, I can go to All Programs, and I will see Microsoft SQL Server 2012 SQL Server Data Tools. It's a version of Visual Studio, you can say, which is customized, specialized for your SSIS, SSAS and SSRS. You might have heard people use the word bits. Now in SQL Server 2012, it is no more bits, it is SSDT, SQL Server Data Tools. So here you can click New Project, or you can go to File, New Project. You can start the project from here also. What type of project do you want to start? You want to start integration services. Okay, and you can see two things here. One is plain blank project and other is wizard. Okay, we can start with any of that. What else I have before I enter that? Let me just show you quickly. I'll go to SQL Server Management Studio, and guys, here I'm assuming that you know SQL Server Management Studio. If you're not aware, then please do ask. Okay. Here I have got database called as MSBI, which has got absolutely no table in it. What we are going to do is we are going to read the data from flat files and we are going to simply dump it here. Okay, that's what we are going to do. We are going to do extract and load. Transform we will see eventually. Okay, let's start with the wizard. Okay, next. We don't want to actually import any integration project. Perhaps let's start with plain integration service project, normal. Okay, once you do okay, the blank project will be given to you. What do you do first is you go to connection managers and establish the connectivity with the data source. Okay, that's what you can do. Now there are going to be two connections that you will need. One for the flat file and second for MSBI database where you want to dump that data. Okay, let's take the first example. Now how it is organized, let's understand this. SSIS, you have got different controls like data flow, control flow, project package and so on. What is data flow? This is the actual task which does extract, transform and load activity. We'll see example of this. Now when you have got multiple data flows like this which does ETL activity, you can group them together. Okay, that is called as control flow. For example, you want to do one set of activities and then you want to do second set of activities. You can do it. Now like this, multiple control flows can be stored inside one package, and one or more packages will make your project. So we'll see that. You got package. Alright, I'm just going to delete this, the default one I don't want. I'll go to SSIS import and export wizard. Just make a right click on SSIS packages and SSIS import and export wizard. Next, data source. Question to you folks, what is going to be our data source?
Data source means the data from where we can pull the data. Like if I'm saying the OLTP system.
Right, correct.
Either OLTP or either log file, whatever the OLTP system.
Absolutely. Typically, OLTP data is made available to us in another SQL Server version database or maybe in flat files. We are going to use flat files. What we saw sometime back here it is, right? These are the flat files. What is the file name? I selected here first is flat file source. You can select Excel if you have got data in Excel, Access or whatever else. I mean, you can get it from Oracle, you can get it from SQL Server, whatever OLEDB providers are there, you can import it from all those data sources. For now, let's go with flat file source. I'll browse it. First, let's import the data from ProdCat. Very simple thing. And as I mentioned, the ProdCat table name is selected here. Locale of that is auto detected. It is English United States. You can make changes in all this. Now, why this is needed? Because as I said, like you may get data from Bangladesh, you may get data from Europe, you may get data from Germany within Europe, you may get data from UK within Europe, and for that your locale and code pages will vary, right? So you can specify here what is the locale using which your data source is generated. All right, my data is delimited with tabs, so I select tab here. Okay, header row to skip. There are 0 header rows to skip. I'll explain what is header row. I've got product cat. Now there is no special header row, but sometimes when you get the data, the sender may send that this branch is Germany. For example, branch country is Germany. This dump created on some GD mm y. Now when you import this file, you don't want to import these first two records or first rows. Those are your header rows, right? Now you don't want to include those, you want to exclude those. Then in that case, you are going to say there are two records, first two records in my file are header. Alright, I'm not going to save it, but you can very well specify that out here. Header rows to skip. I would have spared 2. And go to columns. You can see that because you're doing tab delimiter, automatically data is shown to here accordingly. Now next it is asking you what is the destination. Destination we are going to put as SQL Server native client 11.0. I am going to take server name where the data should be dumped. I can give dot for the localhost, or I can write localhost, or I can specify the specific instance name. I have got multiple instances on this machine, and I'm going to take SQL BI demo. I got multiple SQL Server instances, guys, but specifically SQL Server BI demo I'm going to do. Use Windows authentication. That is, you want to connect to this database using what credentials you can specify here. If you want to connect using SA or some other local, then you can select this and give your SA out here and then corresponding password. But fine, we don't want to connect using SA, we want to use Windows authentication. Which database? I want to store the data into MSBI database. So I select this, I do next. Now here it is saying, okay, the source is ProdCat txt. What should be the destination table name? It is ProdCat. It is taking it from the file name ProdCat.txt to create dbo.prodcat. But if you want, you can change this particular table name in the destination. I'm not going to do that. You can click on edit mapping and you get to see more options. If I say drop and recreate the destination table, then whenever you will run this job, it will always drop the table and recreate it. If you have got identity insert, identity field in the destination, then even that can be taken care. But I'm not going to do it again. I just do next. This is just the summary of whatever options were selected. I do finish. Well, it has created the package. I close the screen and you will see that the package is created, package 1. Because I don't want to remember what is there in package 1, package 2, package 3, I'm just going to name it as package ProdCat. That's what we are storing here. I can create another package. Okay, well, let's execute this first. You can simply say run. Now guys, if you have any development background, then you will appreciate how easy it is to do it here. If you write C# program or Java program or C program or your VB.NET program, it's going to take quite a lot of effort to read the data, to do error handling, to dump the data, right? Here you are not done anything. It is all wizard based at this level at least, and it just tap tap tap. First it will drop the table if it is existing. It has created that. It will create the table and it will do data flow. Let's understand this in little more detail. Edit. The drop table statement is given. Build query will show you that. You can write it by yourself also. You have got okay. Now how you should name it? Drop ProdCat. Just make it self-defining. Then this is another. So preparing SQL 1. I wanted to name this as prep for ProdCat. Right? What I'm going to do, I'm going to typically create that table out here. You can see this create table and so on. So first it will drop if it is existing, then it will prepare a new one, and then there are activities. Data flow tasks. These are the data flow tasks. Now see the difference. This is data flow task, this is prep task, and this is your drop. When I make double click on data flow, it will take me to data flow tab. In data flow, two things needs to happen. One is you need to read the data from source system and then you put it into destination. Source is the flat file, you can see it in the symbol, and destination is the ProdCat table in the database. So automatically the symbols are also chosen. We are not done any transformation, guys. We are just going to extract it here and we are going to simply load it in the destination table. Okay. All required code and all is generated for you. I made a right click on the source and you can see connection manager. Source connection is created for you. It says that okay, you have got these two columns. What should be the output? ProdCat should be read from your flat file. In SSIS, when you read that, it should be available as what name? We are saying ProdCat ID itself, but you can very well change it. Prod category ID you can make it. So that will be transformation of the column name. We are not going to do it now, but we'll see that. But it is going to be quite easy. If we have to do same thing in the programming, it's going to be quite a lot of effort. And the last part is error output. In case while execution, if there is any problem, what needs to happen? You can specify that here. If there is any error, then what should happen? You should ignore that failure. You should redirect that particular record to some other table. Like many times what we do is we simply transfer the failed record into some other table so that we can process that record later. So you can specify that. Alright, we'll go into details of this later. So I'm just going to close that. Similar thing is there in destination ProdCat. Connection manager is destination connection OLEDB. You're going to store the data in table, and table name is product. Okay, that's what is specified here. The more items we'll see when we go into details of SSIS. Let's execute this. You can execute individual task within this by making right click execute task, or else simply click on start debugging. I'm going to start debugging. Okay, and you will see that drop has failed. The reason being that table never existed in my backend table, but that's fine. I'm not much bothered because I know what that task is, and I can see the details of that by going into progress. I just made a click here, execution results. You can see task failed, but that's fine. Doesn't make difference to me. And the corresponding error message is shown to you here. You don't have permission. Maybe we have the table, or we had the table, but the permission was not there. It tells you which task failed and what is the why it failed, whatever error it got from SQL Server. But it has continued ahead and it has inserted the records into output table. Let's see that, guys. Tables, refresh, broadcast is created. I say select top 1000 rows. Can you see that? All right. At this moment, I will pause for a while and I will take your questions if any.